Hey, welcome to another episode of A Cup of Tea with Winnie, the music educator. So today, I have a ask, and maybe I will get some answers after I give my take on the same ask. What do you think about, there's been something going on in the social media recently, and it concerns me as a mother and as an older woman, for example, right now in the society, where we're finding a lot of young couples, young men getting married to older women, or young women getting married to way older men. It's something that concerns me because it's becoming a trend. And so the other day I was speaking to some of my friends, my age mates, and we were saying, hey, okay, what do you guys think about this? Because I'm at the age where I have young people who are that age I'm talking about, especially the ages probably in the 20s, young adults, girls, for example, who are finding that they're attracted in dating older men, whom they call, the older men than them by over 20 years. And then you also find young men in their 20s getting married to older women, or at least having relationships with older women who are 20 years and above of their ages. And as a mother who has young people in that age bracket, I was just wondering what we feel about this as a society, because where I come from and when we were young people, we were brought up in a way that we learned how to work with our peers in all ways socially, and we had dates. When we were in campus, we dated people who are our ages. We'd go out we call them hangs, where we'd spend maybe some few hours of the night just hanging out with people who are your peers. And eventually, of course, you ended up now dating one another that way. Yeah. So the age difference in the dating world was, at maximum, either side would be 5 years. But most of the time, especially for the ladies, we tended to date boys or young men who are maybe just a little older than us, and sometimes even just the same age. And that was the trend at that time. It was the norm. But right now, we're finding a lot of, for me, where I come from, like mismatch dating because of the age gap differences. And so obviously there are some people who are arguing that, age doesn't matter. It's just a number. If people are two consenting adults, which of course in the constitution of my country, that starts at 18 years of age. So, from 18 years of age, is young person old enough to make some decisions like those, some really, really serious decisions in their lives, 18 plus, where it involves probably the bigger society than just them. And of course, this is not to try and say that, I have the answers or what is wrong and what is right. It's just something that I'm wondering about. I've been wondering about, as I said, with some of my friends and people I talk to around, and even just what we see on social media. Because one point in case, just this morning, I was on my social media space and I found this place where it's a community of people doing parenting for young people, teenagers, and all that. And one parent came up, of course, anonymously, to say, I have a 21-year-old son whom I have taken who is in the university. And this young man, I've been a good father. I've taken him through school, educated him. Until now, he's a young adult. He's still in the university. And I've been paying fees religiously, praying for him to get a good future. Which parent does not want that? You've invested in an individual up to 21 years of age, giving them everything they need to nurture them to that level, take them to the highest level of education. Of course, as a parent, you have an expectation. You want your son or daughter to do well. And for us, doing well, for some of us as parents of this generation, it means that you want your children to do better than you did. So you give them the best of what you can, of your best fruits, and that includes a good education. So you can imagine the disappointment of this father when he comes to discover that, this son of his has decided to end his university education, which he has been paying for, because he has found love in a woman who is 20 years older than him. I mean, 21 and 40 years, and so he's decided he's not going to go back to school. He's going to sort of start maybe a come we stay relationship or continue a romantic relationship. And obviously, I don't know these people, but this has become a trend. And of course, also the reverse, where you can find a much younger girl going out with what we call the silver foxes of this day and age. I don't know what you think. As an older woman, for example, of that age where 20-year-olds are literally my children, I just cannot find the reason why I would actually go out on a romantic relationship with a person of that age, sincerely, because they have barely started life. I mean, by the time you're just in your early 20s, you haven't even figured out what you want in life. Probably you are still doing university education, or you're even trying another course. You have barely come out from the wings of your own parents. You haven't even started your own family. You don't know how to juggle life on the outside. Really, what do you really know? Sometimes we think we know everything, because my thinking in this space right now, and one thing that came to my mind, which I'd like to share, and I would want to hear what everybody else has to say about this, because I think it could be quite an explosive topic, and people have their different opinions. Every opinion matters, I guess, but the whole idea here, when I do these episodes, it's really I'm looking at the angle of community and social values that we are also trying to build amongst our young people and all the like, really, and how we can build better communities that are thriving. That is something that I'm big about, because besides being a mother, I'm a music educator, and I believe that we need to thrive. We need to build thriving societies in all matters of life, including social, economical, and all those. And so it just came to my mind that this is the era of technology. We all know that, and social media has become a big part of our lives. People parade themselves on social media and do all sorts of things, even to alter their images. I mean, nowadays you have an AI image of yourself. I think I should try that one. I don't know how I look with AI, but to alter your image, but sometimes it gives a false impression of who we really are when compared to who we are, like now in everyday living on the ground, like in the real world. And I think the younger generation who have grown up with technology and social media, sometimes they have a problem differentiating reality and what is the virtual reality and the real reality. That maybe let me put it that way. So what we see out there really influences their minds, and it's a big concern. I'm concerned as a parent, because some of these things the young people see as virtual reality, on the ground is something different, and sometimes it blurs the boundaries that we are supposed to keep even as people. Because what's the place of a child, a teenager, a young adult, an older adult, parent, a grandparent in the society? We need to start looking at these different groups of people living together in the community and their roles and where we draw boundaries. It's the same way I feel with my own children. My child just can't come and speak back to me the way they feel like. It doesn't matter how old they are, because even as they grow older, I'm also growing older. We are still going to maintain the parent-child relationship. Just that now, obviously, the gap becomes a little smaller, because now, once we get into the point of all of us are adults, we can have discussions as adults. But still, there's a boundary, how you're supposed to relate to an older person whom you could call a mom or a dad. So now, how that turns around to become a romantic relationship, for me, it's worrying. On my end, it's worrying, because I think there's a place where we are crossing the line. And it will reach a point, because I'm just imagining a scenario. A 21-year-old young man going out with somebody, a woman who is 40, they get a child. Yeah? And perhaps this child, you see, first of all, this 21-year-old, probably this lady has a child who is about the same age. How do you call your age mate your parent? Because that's how it goes, like stepfather, stepmother. How does that happen? And also, even in terms of bringing up another child, how do you even parent in a way that is cohesive when your age differences are so wide? There are many things that come to my mind, and I think this needs to be addressed. And if there's something that needs to be corrected, then we need to know where we went wrong and how we need to correct it. Personally, I feel we need to teach our young people the difference between virtual reality, the one they see 24/7, with what is the reality on the ground, and how some things are supposed to be more natural than others, if I may put that. Again, this is subject to discussion. But in this episode, I really want us to think about this example that I've given and many others that you may know of. And my question here is, at this point, am I overthinking? Is it the same thing, the way people nowadays say, my dress, my choice? Is it just okay? People do what they want because once you become an adult, you have those choices. Where do we draw the line as a society so that the different levels of people in a community can be respected and treated in a manner that creates organic growth to do better for ourselves? That's what I have for today. I have a lot of questions. I would like to expand this into another episode depending on the feedback I get. Please feel free, wherever you are in the world, if you feel you have something to add to this. I don't want to call it a debate, but it's just something that I thought about and an ask, and concerns me because I think we want to do better for ourselves and others. And that's what A Cup of Tea with Auntie Winnie is all about, to bring out discussions that affect the community and hopefully bring out more positivity than negativity. And thank you for listening. If you relate to this and you think this needs to be shared widely, please oblige me. I'll be so grateful if you share this with others so that we can have, fruitful discussions and a way forward of this concern. Thank you for watching, and see you next time in A Cup of Tea with Auntie Winnie.